I'll be reading from Luke chapter 24, verses 13 through 35. This takes place right after the resurrection of Jesus. That very day, two of them were going to a village named Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. And they were talking with each other about all these things that had happened. While they were talking and discussing together, Jesus himself drew near and went with them. But their eyes were kept from recognizing him. And he said to them, "What is this conversation that you are holding with each other as you walk?" And they stood still, looking sad. Then one of them, named Cleopas, answered, "Are you the only visitor to Jerusalem who does not know the things that have happened there in these days?" And he said to them, "What things?" And they said to him, "Concerning Jesus of Nazareth, a man who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, and how our chief priests and rulers delivered him up to be condemned to death, and crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. Yes, and besides all this, it is now the 3rd day since these things have happened. Moreover, some women of our company amazed us. They were at the tomb early in the morning, and when they did not find his body, they came back saying that they had even seen a vision of angels, who said that he was alive. Some of those who were with us went to the tomb, and found it just as the women had said, but him they did not see." And he said to them, "O foolish ones, and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Was it not necessary that the Christ should suffer these things and enter into his glory?" And beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them in all the scriptures the things concerning himself. So they drew near to the village to which they were going. He acted as if he were going farther, but they urged him strongly, saying, "Stay with us, for it is toward evening, and the day is now far spent." So he went in to stay with them. When he was at table with them, he took the bread and blessed and broke it and gave it to them. And their eyes were opened, and they recognized him. And he vanished from their sight. And they said to each other, "Did not our hearts burn within us while he talked to us on the road, while he opened to us the scriptures?" And they rose that same hour and returned to Jerusalem. And they found the 11 and those who were with them gathered together, saying, "The Lord has risen indeed, and has appeared to Simon." Then they told what had happened on the road, and how he was known to them in the breaking of the bread. We don't know a lot about these men. We only know one of their names. We do know that they were at least followers of Jesus. They were with the disciples when the women came to give their astonishing news of the empty tomb. We know that they were dejected and sad, that their hopes had been destroyed. We know that they knew Jesus well enough that they should have recognized him on the road. What's really amazing about these two men is that they have the entire story of the gospel at their fingertips. And not only that, but they can even recite it to Jesus himself. They know of his miraculous life, that he was a prophet, mighty in word and deed. That is not enough. They know of his crucifixion, how he was put to death by Pilate and the chief priests. That is not enough. They have even heard of his resurrection. They have the testimony of the women and perhaps even of Peter. Even that is not enough. Still, they are dejected, defeated. They have Jesus himself walking alongside them and teaching them everything concerning himself, from Moses to the prophets. Still, they do not know him. But then they break bread with Jesus. They go from being confused about the resurrection to being eyewitnesses to the resurrection. They go from breaking fellowship with the other disciples to restoring it once again back in Jerusalem. At the beginning of creation, humanity fell into sin with a meal. And after Adam and Eve ate the fruit, the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they grew ashamed. But here, at the beginning of this new thing God is doing, at this new creation, in the breaking of the bread, their eyes were opened, and they recognized him. They recognized Jesus, the one who takes away our guilt and shame, the one whose body was broken so that we might be unbroken, knit together into one body, fellowship restored. And this meal is where we too must recognize Jesus.